Hey, hey, hey. Happy Thursday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by thegaminggang.com, which I happen to be the Grand Poobah. I am the founder and editor-in-chief of the Gaming Gang. So welcome aboard. Tonight is Thursday, May 6th, 2021. This is live stream 661. Yes. And tonight, we're going to take a first look and page through Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls, which is from Flying Buffalo Games. This is the 2015 edition. So this is the most recent edition of Tunnels and Trolls. And we are going to be taking a peek in just a bit. So if this is your first time popping by to check out the show, let me point out it's very, very casual. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in gaming news. We always take a look at a board game or role-playing game, miniatures rules, something along those lines. But the first half of the show is dedicated to the news, and then the second half is when we take a peek at a gaming release, such as tonight's Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. Of course, do want to mention that if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the dispatch streams live, Monday through Thursday nights, right here on YouTube. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my first look at Dungeons & Dragons, Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, which arrived today. The video is shot. The video is uploaded to YouTube. It just needs some description info put in there. Yes, I'll talk about this in a little bit as well. But also want to mention, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com with all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Of course, because this is a live stream, that means chat is available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, or maybe you've got a question, a comment, by all means, fire away. I will do my best to respond. So first one out the gate tonight in chat is the Motor City Madman. Yes, the Madman, one of our chat moderators, is with us. My friend from high school, Scott Weagle, has showed up. We haven't seen Scott in quite some time. Hanging out in chat. Good to see you, Scott. Kevin R. Smith is with us as well. So lots going on today. For one, my package from Wizards of the Coast was delivered somewhere else. It wasn't delivered here by FedEx. And I get this notification that my package has arrived. It's been delivered at my back door. And it's sort of like, okay, so first of all, there is no back door that a delivery person would actually have any sort of access to here. So I know that's not the case. And obviously, I was working on stuff for the show, never saw a FedEx truck come pulling up. So it turned out they had delivered it to somebody else, and they were kind enough. They weren't a neighbor either. It was, in fact, they had said they didn't live anywhere nearby. So don't know what that meant. But luckily did get the book, so don't have to go like chasing after FedEx. Then the show was a little late tonight because there was a microphone issue. I don't know what was going on. Wasn't getting any sound. had to mess around with some stuff. Might have been, that good old Windows update messing with my equipment again. But that's the reason why I'm a few minutes late. Anyway, let's jump on into the news. I've got quite a bit of news tonight. So arriving in stores this month is Gladius. And here's the latest from Deepwater Games. In Gladius, play as cunning Roman spectators trying to make the most money by betting on rigging the gladiatorial games. Each round, players secretly place bets on competing gladiator teams. Through the skillful use of underhanded tactics, players can help and hinder teams to alter the outcome of each battle. Player with the most money at the end of the 3 rounds wins. Will you walk away with toga pockets brimming full of gold? Or will you be left without a single denarius to your name? To start the game, choose one of the 5 playable characters: the Beast Tamer, the Senator, the Biggest Fan, the Centurion, or the Spy Master. Each character has a special power that you can use to turn the tides in battle. Draw a random event card to determine how many gladiators will compete and what skill the event is judged on. Each gladiator has varying levels of fight, theatrics, and luck that can be buffed or nerfed throughout the game. Take turns secretly placing bets on which gladiator team you think will emerge victorious or which team will fall short. Use your hand of influence cards to assist gladiator teams, backstab them, or cause general mayhem. After each player has placed their final bet, reveal all the hidden influence cards and determine the winner. Gladius is for 2 to 5 players, ages 13 and up. Plays around 20 to 30 minutes. It is going to carry an MSRP of $24.99 when it hits stores on May 26th. And yes, it is from Deep Blue Games. You are seeing Oxeye Media as the web address. That is the correct address that you have to go to. I guess Deepwater Games must be a subsidiary of Oxeye Media. So it's not a case of the incorrect web address by any stretch. Gotta say, this sounds interesting, but it also sounds a little bit like Cheaty Mages, which was a very small footprint game from AEG that I reviewed. It was if I remember correctly, I believe it was a Japanese game designer, and it was kind of along the same lines where you were kind of trying to influence by hook or by crook these mage battles. So very cool. So Liz Danforth is joining us in chat. So is Stefan Jones. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. So if you are not in the know, I can tell you this much. Liz Danforth is a luminary in the role-playing game world. In fact, a lot of the artwork we're going to see in Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls in just a bit was created by Liz Danforth, and she's also a developer too. So it's not just artwork. She is she's been part of Tunnels and Trolls, I think, since the beginning. And we'll kind of talk a little bit about what I know of the history of Tunnels and Trolls, which of course I could be, completely off base. You never know. It could all just be legend, right? It's myth. It's all Tunnels and Trolls myth that I know. That's it. None of it's true. All right, let's move on to our next news piece, because there's like a cool looking dungeon delving game that caught my eye. It's from Clevergreen Board Games. Here's the deets on Shard of the Jaguar. Shards of the Jaguar is a tabletop game of strategy, deduction, and traps. There was Kananur, the founder and first leader of your tribe, who was a mighty warrior. One of the reasons he was so powerful was his ability to change his shape and take the form of a jaguar. As a jaguar, Kananur was an unstoppable force and defended your tribe successfully for many years. But on an unfortunate day, a mysterious enemy attacked and cursed him. As a result, the jaguar was defeated and broken into crystal shards. You and your fellow young tribe members have to go to the sacred temple where the jaguar's remains are still to be found and take part in an initiation ceremony. Your goal is to acquire the Jaguar's best skills by collecting its shards, making rituals with them, and incorporating the Jaguar's hunting instinct by setting traps against the others. If you're successful in your journey, you'll come back as a powerful hunter, and the best of you will be the next chief of the tribe. Shards of the Jaguar has 8 rounds, and in each round, each player sets a trap secretly. There's poisonous gas, darts, guards, and an earthquake. Then each player moves their character in the temple, spending action points. You can move, take crystal shards, perform rituals, and heal yourself in your turn for the action points. But move carefully. Each space on the game board could contain a secret trap activated by another player, so you have to pay attention to each other's movements to be able to find out which traps will be activated, and so which spaces are safe for that round. After each player spends their action points, you activate the traps and check who got hit by them. Ow! Gathering different negative effects. If you were able to hit another player with your trap, you get glory points, and you are worthy of the Jaguar's hunting instinct. At the end of the game, you count the points you get for the crystal shards, the glory points for the successful traps, and the player with the most points is the winner. Shards of the Jaguar is for 1 to 4 players, ages 12 and up, plays in around 90 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of approximately 45 euros when it arrives in late 2021. I believe this was actually supposed to be out already. It was a successful Kickstarter, but COVID, of course, completely threw a wrench into those plans. But I believe they're aiming for September, is what I understand. But I don't want somebody to come back and yell at me if I'm wrong. So I am saying it's late 2021. All right, we got quite a good chat rocking and rolling tonight. We've got Edward Romero, first timer. So is Stephen Jones and Liz Danforth. Those all the first time they've popped in to say hello in chat. They must be coming by to check out Tunnels and Trolls. Make sure I don't say anything bad about it. Of course, it's not a review. It is just a first look. We're going to do a bit of a page through, talk a little bit about it as well. So who else? We got Clint Gibson's here. Gary Clarkson's arrived as well. I think I've said hello to everybody in chat. Disavowed 92, in case I did not mention him. He's with us as well. So very cool. This will be very cool chat going on so far. All right. It is Thursday, and we've got a tradition now on Thursdays. We've got another free PC game we get to enjoy, which is from the Epic Games Store. This week brings us Pine from Twirlbound and Kongregate. Here's the dope. It's a story of humans. Pine is an open-world action-adventure simulation game. Set in the beautiful world of Abamare, you take on the role of Hugh, a smart young adult who will have to explore, trade, and fight his way through a vibrant world filled with creatures much smarter than humans. Their story becomes yours. As you're looking for a new home for your tribe to settle in, you'll have to engage with the large-scale ecology of Albamare. Prepare by exploring, bartering, talking, crafting, and fighting in 6 different biomes with and against a diverse cast of species that will not simply help you. It's a struggle for survival. In Pine, things will happen across the open game world, even without your involvement. All organisms are alive and will try what they can do to survive. You can choose to befriend a species, fight alongside them, or you may also attack them, steal their food, and force them to abandon their current habitat. All of this will make the species move across the ecological spectrum. There is a rather short launch video. This game actually came out, I want to say 2019. So let's take a peek. You can grab Pine absolutely free right now through 10 a.m. Central Time, May 13th, over at the Epic Game Store. Now, recently, we've had some really well-reviewed freebies over at Epic. This one's got, I guess, kind of mixed reviews. I mean, it looks interesting. It does, but it's kind of mixed reviews. So, doesn't matter. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. It's like, damn, that okay game that was free really ticked me off. It's free. All right, let's jump into some role-playing game news, because it seems like we've got quite a few role-playing fans in chat with us. And want to say hello to Ninth Octopus, another first-timer joining us here at the Dispatch. So G4, if anybody remembers G4 Tech TV at one point, is actually returning. And they're partnering with Wizards of the Coast for this year's edition of Dungeons & Dragons Live. Here's the announcement. Wizards of the Coast and G4 are partnering for D&D Live 2021, a special 2-day streaming event on July 16th and 17th, and continuing with 4 all-new limited-run campaign series to premiere on G4 this fall. D&D Live 2021 is going to be an innovative event with new forms of interactivity for a live streaming audience and the perfect D&D introduction for new audiences, says Brian Turlinger, 12th level VP of Programming and Creative Strategy at G4. We're thrilled to partner with Wizards of the Coast to give fans adventure, comedy, and an incredibly entertaining journey into the theater of the mind. D&D Live has been such an exciting event for both fans and Wizards, and it's amazing how it's grown each year. In 2021, we're expanding D&D Live's impact by partnering with G4, said Nathan Stewart, level 20 Wizard of the Coast, head of franchise. With G4 joining our party, we aim to bring even more fans to Dungeons & Dragons by showcasing friends adventuring together. D&D Live 2021 will take place on the 16th and 17th of Flame Rule, which is the equivalent to July in the Forgotten Realms calendar, in case you were rusty. The 2-day event will feature 4 games with star-studded casts, playing with expert GMs, as well as hosted content featuring games, interviews, special product announcements, a Dungeon Master roundtable, and exclusive giveaways for those with high enough intelligence rolls. The timing and cast will be announced soon, and my halfling rogue is already good to go in case they need backups. That's not coming from me. It's coming from this announcement. This alignment, which I totally call chaotic good, will continue through G4's official launch later this year as the two brands party up for a limited series premiering after the network's launch. The series will follow 4 campaigns with a mix of G4 talent, veteran D&D players, and celebrities for a new generation of D&D fans. As we continue to interact with our audience leading up to the launch of the network, one of the most resounding requests was for tabletop gaming content, said Kevin Sabi, head of content, G4, I guess he doesn't have a level, who looks great in a hooded traveler's cloak. I must admit, this partnership reinforces our focus on authentic gaming content that will entertain existing D&D fans and those new to the world of tabletop as well. Once again, D&D Live 2021 is going to air July 16th and 17th. Obviously enough, I'm going to assume you are going to be able to watch it on the D&D website, probably YouTube, because G4 is not back yet. It is scheduled to launch again or relaunch a bit later on this year. So JP Falkenarner has arrived in chat as well. Welcome back. Good to see you, JPF. Anyway, so as Liz Danforth points out, even if a game is free, there's still time investment. Of course. But if you don't like it, you're like, well, hey, at least it was free. I gotta say, I used to watch G4. I didn't watch it a ton, but I used to watch, sometimes I would watch Attack of the Show and X Play. And I think those are really the only shows I ever really watched on G4. I think I watched Tech TV more back in the day, before they had, combined, before G4 bought Tech TV. But I don't know. I gotta say, we're gonna get to a point where these actual play sessions are going to just we're gonna get to a tipping point. I'm telling you, we're gonna get to a tipping point where people are gonna say, you know what? I'm sick of watching this. I'd rather be playing the game. That's how I look at it. But could be interesting. Could be kind of cool. All right. Now available in hardcover is the Talisman Adventures fantasy role-playing game from Pegasus Spiele. Here's the scoop. Begin your exploration of the realm with the core rulebook for the Talisman Adventures fantasy role-playing game. Magical forests, treacherous mountains, deadly dungeons, and more await you between these pages. Begin your adventures as any one of 10 classes: assassin, druid, minstrel, priest, prophet, scout, sorcerer, thief, warrior, or wizard, and 7 ancestries: elf, dwarf, human, ghoul, probably more like the Fritz Leiber ghouls from, Fafhrd and Grey Mouser is my guess. Laywalkers, trolls, and sprites. The Talisman Adventures fantasy role-playing game is a hardcover book divided into 2 sections: the Player's Guide and the Game Master's Guide. In the back of the book, you'll find light and dark fate tokens, character sheets, and 6 pre-generated characters. It also includes a short starting adventure, Death's Messenger, so that you can jump right into the action. If you want to be even better prepared for your heroic journey, the Talisman Adventures accessory pack is also available as well. The Talisman Adventures fantasy role-playing game rules are fast-paced, easy to learn, and feature the new 3d6 adventure rules set. With these rules, the players take the lead and determine the action as their characters explore magical new lands, encounter strangers, and do battle against terrible monsters. What's wrong with strangers? It's like, what? Oh my God, they're strangers! I don't think you're playing murder hobos in this game. Pretty sure you don't. Anyway, it also provides once again a multitude of enemies, strangers, followers, mysterious locations, and magic items to include in your adventures. Forbidden knowledge and fabulous treasures, perhaps even the fabled talisman of the great wizard, await the daring and heroic. To play this game, you'll need a few friends, some 6-sided dice, 2 to 4 hours. 2 to 4 hours, that's a short session. Man, that's like a blink of an eye in the way I run games. You also need your imagination. This 300-page hardcover carries an MSRP of $49.99. You can grab the PDF over at Drive-Thru RPG for $24.99. This has been out for a while in PDF. I have heard good things about this system. I heard it's really fairy tale like. So I have to like that. I have heard it's very easy to get into. A couple of things that I notice is, and of course it's from Pegasus, so it's out of Germany. We do seem to have, from what I've seen, kind of, and the Dark Eye is known for this as well, this kind of generic looking fantasy art. Now, there's a couple of images on these pages that I thought, oh, that's pretty good. But other stuff I saw, it's just kind of, it's generic. And if you're familiar with the Dark Eye and European role-playing games, this tends to kind of be a thing. So that's kind of a bummer. And this has been out for quite some time. I don't know what kind of support Pegasus Spiele plans for this, because all they've released is like one short adventure for it. And like I said, this PDF has been out, got to be for about a year, easily. So Flaming Huron has joined us. Our other chat moderator has arrived. All right, One last news piece, and then we will be jumping on into Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. But there's an interesting looking old school fantasy role playing game source book that's now out in print and PDF. Here's a skinny on artifices, deceptions, and dilemmas from Hack and Slash Games. I think it's Hack and Slash Publishing as well. You're already a great dungeon master. You run a game really well. What's the difference between doom, room, and a chamber? What's the difference between a mausoleum, a sepulcher, and a crypt? Would disarming traps be more exciting if you understood how those complex mechanisms worked? What does a magic trap look like? What does a solar room look like? And what's usually inside? This includes over 100 illustrations of lavish environments, guidelines for escalating threats while respecting player agency, hundreds of ideas for tricks and traps. So, what's it for? Referees who run games and understand their role in facilitating the group's adventure. This book provides guidance on how to create encounters that respect players and allow you to make encounters as exciting and dangerous as you want without fear of being unfair. Imagine a group excited to discover a trap. Fill in your gaps of knowledge, raising your confidence and making you a master ready to lead players on adventure. The 162-page Artifices, Deceptions, and Dilemmas is available from Drive-Thru RPG in hardcover for $34.99, softcover for $29.99. Both of those actually include the PDF. Or you can just grab the PDF alone for $19.99. Any car, any color, $99.99. All right. This looked kind of interesting, and the artwork's looking pretty cool. Looks pretty cool. So I thought I would share this from Hack and Slash. And once again, I think this just hit Drive-Thru RPG. Of course, speaking of Drive-Thru RPG, of course, the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, Drive-Thru RPG, please swing by thegaminggang.com first, click on one of our banner ads, and that way, if you make a purchase, I get a little portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. And there are a lot of people who do utilize those links as well, and I really, really do appreciate that. All right, we have Mark W. and Rob Bob Present is in chat with us. Another first-timer, welcome aboard. All right, we're going to look at Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls in a second. A couple of things I wanted to mention. Let me jump back real quick in chat. There you go. It's JP Falconer. That's why I always just say JPF. Was kind enough to support the Gaming Gang. So if you like thegaminggang.com, if you like the channel and the videos I do, if you like watching the Dispatch, buy me a cup of coffee. Swing over to thegaminggang.com. You'll see there's a little sidebar ad saying, hey, if you like the Gaming Gang, buy me a cup of coffee. So the Madman and JPF have been kind enough to click on that and help support the website and the channel. Thank you so much. Really, really do appreciate that quite a lot. All right. Anyway, mentioned that this came, after it was delivered to the wrong address by FedEx today. I have the video done. It's just a first look. Got it uploaded. It is on YouTube. It will be live later on tonight. Do want to point out, I also received, it's coming. If you follow the Gaming Gang and you know what I usually get when Wizards of the Coast releases something, I got the alternate art edition as well. I'm going to give this copy away. You have to watch the first look video to find out how to get into the running. But as usual, it's easy peasy. It's not gonna. Not going to be any trouble for you to jump on into it. All right. So without further ado, I think I'll just talk for, it's about a half hour or so and just pontificate as I usually do. Well, all these people are like, come on, Jeff, we want to see Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. Everybody's hitting that thumbs down. Hate this guy. I can't stand this guy's videos. Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls is from Flying Buffalo Games. It's written by Ken St. Andre, Liz Danforth, and James Beer Peters, with artwork provided by Rob Carver, Steve Crompton, the aforementioned Liz Danforth, and Stephen Peregrine. The 285-page hardcover is available from the Flying Buffalo website for $59.95. You can snag it in PDF over at DriveThruRPG for $19.95. So let's swing on over to the other camera because, ta-da! Here we have Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. So here's why I picked this up. So if you follow me on Twitter, you know that I had rolled out a tweet asking which people would prefer me to review. Mutant Crawl Classics, because I had just reviewed Dungeon Crawl Classics from Goodman Games, and Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. And I thought, oh, here we go. It's going to be a lot of MCC. I was like, MCC. And it wasn't. It was neck and neck. And I was very pleased to see that because Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls, once again, here we go. What's with the hands? Stefan Jones says, hands! What am I supposed to get him out of? Get him out of there? I won't be able to open up the book. If I understand correctly, and I have been around since the beginning of role-playing games, I wasn't playing them. I didn't get really introduced into role-playing games till about 77. But Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls is actually the second fantasy role-playing game to hit the market. And in fact, the late, great Rick Loomis, who basically, Flying Buffalo was Rick Loomis, he coined the phrase role-playing game. A lot of people don't realize that. So Flaming Heron says, yeah, they're both good products. Yeah, that's why I'm reviewing them both. So I picked up Mutant Crawl Classics as well. So this is just going to be a page through. We're not going to stop at every single page, even though we probably don't have to worry about pirates so much with this. This has been out since, I believe, 2015, but still. So I'm going to remain picture-in-picture up here, and we're going to jump on in. And, of course, I know Liz Danforth is very well affiliated with Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. If she wants to chime in, correct me on anything I get completely wrong, that is completely A-okay. Or if she wants to just chime in with any other info. I believe we've got some other people who are floating around in chat who probably have a great love for Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. And I'm going to admit, I cheated. I mentioned this on yesterday's show. Gary Clarkson says, I think I voted twice for Tunnels and Trolls. No, you didn't, Gary. You voted for Mutant Crawl Classics. You're just saying that because all these other people in chat are like, yeah, we love Tunnels and Trolls. So now you're saying you vote. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Anyway, I cheated because if you follow the show, you know I had to go downtown Chicago yesterday. And the train, I'm out in the burbs, and the train takes an hour and a half. And when I normally do a page through, I have not cracked open the book. I have not taken a peek, just like right here, this. I didn't look at it. I set up the camera, started shooting, and that was it. That's how I do my first looks. It's as new to me as it is to probably quite a few people watching. I started reading this on the train. I brought it with me. I was like, I really want to dive into it. Now, I haven't cracked open Mutant Crawl Classics yet. So if I understand correctly, now I used to live in Arizona. I lived in Mesa. I lived in Chandler. I lived in Gilbert. I lived out in Arizona for about 10 years. And that is where Flying Buffalo Games is located. And that's where Rick Loomis lived. I believe that's where Ken St. Andre lives as well. So I think, I might be completely wrong, but I think there was a lot of Phoenix gaming going on, Phoenix, Arizona gaming going on when this was created. All right, so we're just taking a peek here, talking about character types, creating characters. We have pretty much the standard attributes. We got the strength, we got constitution, dex, speed, IQ. See, dex and speed are different, two different things. IQ, wizard, which is kind of like your wizardry skill, which you pay to cast spells. There's also luck and charisma. And this is all based on 2d6. That is the resolution mechanic dice 2d6. So you are not rolling d20s, d10s, percentiles. You're not cracking on any of the Zachi dice or anything like that. It is 2d6. So you got three basic character types. So you got warriors, wizards, and you have rogues. And the rogue is not necessarily a thief. They're not even necessarily a ne'er-do-well. It's just kind of characters that fall outside just the traditional warrior or wizard. There are different kindreds. So basically you've got different ancestries that you can play. So we got some of the usual ones, right? But we have fairies, we got leprechauns, we got hobs, which are halflings. So Liz points out that Ken still lives in the Phoenix area. She was there, so was Bear Peters, and is it Steve Crompton who did? I don't know everybody's name who's associated. So Stefan says, "Hey, who stole the dice from the Yahtzee game? We did, because we're playing Tunnels and Trolls." Now, you may end up rolling a ton of D6s, but you're going to start out just, for the most part, rolling two. Few things are kind of going to be different. So whenever you roll doubles, if you roll doubles, you're going to, it's what we call nowadays an exploding dice mechanism. I don't believe I saw that's what they refer to it here, but that's usually what we call it now as far as a game mechanic. So if you roll doubles, not boxcars, but doubles. So even if you roll double ones, you're going to take that score, you're going to re-roll the dice again. If you roll doubles again, you're going to re-roll again. And when you're rolling up your attributes, that comes into play. So it is possible for you to have like really high, like a really high attribute if you get these doubles. It also makes you a specialist as well. So kind of different, a little bit different. So we've got equipment. We got to break down a lot of different, various different weapons, different swords, daggers, hafted weapons. Of course, you know, it's not the Gary Gygax list of pole arms. So it's like, wow, so that's what that is, huh? Although I got to admit, at the end of the book, there is an appendix that shares a bunch of different weapons. And I like that. I appreciate that, because a lot of people just don't realize that. So Liz points out the attributes are 3d6, and you roll a 2d6 for your saving rolls. And the saving rolls aren't like a Dungeons and Dragons or an OSR saving throw. Saving rolls are effectively kind of like challenge rolls. They're action resolution rolls. So Stefan says, Ken coined the term Daro and Taro, doubles add and roll over, triples add and roll over. I did see that in here. All right, so this is just kind of equipment in that. Unfortunately, not a lot of images in this section. We're not seeing all the different weapons and things like that. So we have the rules about items breaking down. We've got poisons, combat toxins. There's a lot to the rule book, but almost along the lines of when I did my review for Mutant Crawl Classics, the rules aren't difficult to wrap your head around. It's not like you've got a bunch of different rules that you need to memorize. They're fairly easy, but you're going to have, like I was going to say, when you're creating your character, you're not necessarily a level 1. And the way that they kind of look at levels is you actually take your highest attribute, divide by 10, and that's kind of your level. So if you lucked out and you got some like 30 some point attribute as your starting character, yeah, you're level 3. So talking about the saving rolls, talents. So if you're looking to kind of customize your character, we've got the various different talents, and you can add talents as your characters progress. Have some information about monsters. We're gonna get there is a bestiary in this as well. Then we get into combat, and this is where, and I've mentioned this in the past, long before I picked up this book, because we have talked a little bit about Tunnels and Trolls from time to time on the show, that this is really where this departs from other role-playing games, other OSR games. I'm sure people will be curious, do I feel that Tunnels and Trolls is an old school Renaissance game? No, I don't. Which is weird, right? It's a little strange for me to say that because I said Dungeon Crawl Classics is an OSR game. This, not so much. And a lot of it is because the mechanics, even back when this was created in 76, something around then. Let's take a look real quick. 77. Okay, so it was close. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, that's the book print. I'm like, yep, 1977. So these mechanics were fairly modern at that time, and they still hold up. One thing, taking a look at this, that I think might become kind of an issue is like high level play. But then again, that's a problem with like everything. It's like, I don't know of a particular fantasy role playing game that handles high level play well at all. And I got to be honest, there are a lot of players out there who are not fans of high level. They like the, hey, we're starting off, and yeah, okay. There are people out there, once they get to about level 8, now we're talking like 5e. When they get to level 8, they're like, yeah, I'm ready to retire, get a new character. And I know we've got Pathfinder adventures, and we got the D&D adventures that take you up to level 20. I just don't think that they handle the high level action very well. So what happens in combat, just to kind of, not go into tons and tons of detail, is that all the characters, all the players roll their dice for their characters, and you're combining that total. So as opposed to sitting there and being like, oh, okay, well, it's Joe Bob's turn, and then now it's Meat Hook's turn, and then like everybody rolls their dice. You're going to total up your dice from your weapons, from melee, from ranged weapons, from magic. And then you're going to compare it to a total that your opponents will have, because you're, creatures and monsters and big bads and everybody else gets to roll their dice as well. And then you're going to compare it, and whoever has the higher score is going to do damage to the other side. Now, there is a rule where I think it's a 6. For every 6 on a die. It's spite damage or smite. No, smite damage, I think it is. That you are going to do a point of damage to your opponent no matter what. That armor can't stop that damage and things like that. So Stefan Jones says, just opened the first edition, says published 1975. Yeah, I thought it was earlier than 77. Did I somehow miss something? Oh, you know what? I think it's the artwork. Yeah, it says any art not marked as copyright 1977, 2015. Sorry about that. I peeked at that. I thought, oh, okay, there we go. So, all right, then we get into Magic. One of the aspects about Magic that I think is pretty cool is, of course, your wizard's spells are paid for from their whiz stat. So it is not Vancian magic. It isn't, oh, well, it's like, oh, yeah, I knew that spell, not anymore. Got to wait till tomorrow. And the spell names are pretty funny. The spell names kind of tell you what they are, what they do. So, and there are ways for you to lower the cost of the spells. So as you're a higher level, the spells won't cost as much. There's a variety of different ways. And then a lot of the page count to come is just spells, all different spells. Detect magic, hocus focus, it's elementary. Knock, know your foe, lock tight, oh go away, will wisp, unerring blade, take that, fiend. Curse you, ding-a-ling, hidey hole. Shrug it off, vorpal blade. So as I mentioned, these spells, pretty much even the name just kind of tells you what it is. Something else you're going to notice is you don't have, 2 pages of explanation for that spell, which I have said in the past is a pet peeve of mine. It's like, I don't need to know every last tiny aspect of the magic spell, especially when you've got a few hundred. Now, I don't know what the exact spell count here is. Something that you probably noticed, remember I mentioned that you've got 3 character classes. There are no clerics. Now, does that mean you can't play a cleric-like character? Not at all. You're just a wizard. Because there are a lot of spells that druids and clerics would normally have that are in this as well. All right, then we get into kind of like magical items that wizards would use. And you can see we've got kind of that classic art. Edward Romero is mentioning that they love seeing the old art, recognize some of it from some of the solo adventures. When we're done going through the page through here, I will talk about adventures as well, because I think that's probably one of the big selling points with Tunnels and Trolls. All right, so we get some additional appendices. The section elaborations, these are all kind of like optional rules that you can utilize that come from some previous editions, some fanzines, things like that. And they are not part of the core rules simply because they may not necessarily be everybody's taste. So Stefan says, hi, I typed in all those spell names for the beginner's bundle that just went up on drive-thru. I'm not sure what the beginner's bundle might be. Right, so here we've got various different additional ancestries that you can take on. Quite a lot of them. Hey, you want to play a dragon? Okay. There you go. All right, a little bit about languages. This isn't much in here. All right. Extended talents. If you really want to, drive home the whole like skill-based bonuses, which are known as ads. That's what that is for. Talking about accessories, miniatures. Tunnels and Trolls is a theater of the mind game. So it did not actually evolve from miniature wargaming like D&D did. So really, it's like, yeah, you want miniatures? Sure, that's great. You know, if you feel that really boosts your game experience. But I've said it before that sometimes that I feel that miniatures can be a crutch as opposed to adding something to the gameplay. To me, I think especially with a lot of players, I think it's detrimental. All right, so we've got a little solo adventure here. Then we're going to get into the different continents. So it's talking about different areas of Troll World. Then we get into a colors section, which is just sharing some various artwork. This is the cover here. As you noticed, maybe you noticed, Liz Danforth is the artist of the cover of this edition, this Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. You can kind of make out her art compared to some of the other artists. So we got some colored plates of the continents. We get some colored plates of some of the cities. Here's some covers that Liz Danforth did for some of the solitaire adventures. Here, I'll scoot that so you get a better look. And then this section here is just kind of talking about different areas. This is more, of course, I would think maybe more game master facing than player facing, but it's almost along the lines of a gazetteer, really, this section here. Then we're going to end up with a couple of adventures. We got a solo adventure, Abyss. And I'm sure those of you out there who have played Tunnels and Trolls Solitaire Adventures are very familiar with this layout. And then we have a Game Master adventure as well, broken up into 3 chapters. I did not read this far, so I can't tell you anything about the adventures. I did see the weapons glossary, which this is where we get a lot of images of the various different weapons. Although not every one of these weapons has a breakdown of what are the stats for it. They just fall into a category, like a long sword. So, for an example, like a saber and a longsword are very similar. You're probably not going to be having different damage stats for it. All right, then we go to the index. And then I think this looks like this is the Kickstarter backers at the end here in the acknowledgments. Yep, here we go. All right. And we get a final message from Ken St. Andre. Some Tunnels and Trolls items as well. So that is a look at Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls from Flying Buffalo Games. I will have a review of this in the very near future. Like I said, I've read most of it. Usually when I do my role-playing game reviews, I read through the book and then I'll go back to certain parts that maybe I wasn't too sure about. So I'd say maybe a couple of weeks or so. So here's a few things about Tunnels and Trolls that the experts out there in chat will no doubt be able to confirm or deny. So one of the things that has always been a big deal with Tunnels and Trolls is the solitaire adventures, which are kind of along the lines of the create your own adventures from way back in the day. Similar, but of course you're actually, rolling dice. You're using the game mechanics to resolve conflicts as opposed to, some of those like create your own adventure books where, it's made a bad decision. Game's over. You're not rolling any dice. There was no randomization or anything like that. I mean, there were some other game books that were like that as well, but there are lots and lots of solitaire adventures that are out there for Tunnels and Trolls. There's also quite a few that are Game Master books as well. And Flying Buffalo actually has a line of kind of like system agnostic fantasy books as well. So the other thing I've always heard is Tunnels and Trolls is very popular in Japan. I don't know why. But I've always heard that it is very, very. I've also heard Call of Cthulhu is kind of popular everywhere. But I've also heard Call of Cthulhu is really popular as well in Japan, which I'm not complaining. That's, the game I run for over 40 years. So, all right. So the solo adventures actually predate the create your own adventure books. Wow, that's pretty cool. Stefan Jones says they wrote a couple of pieces for the bundle. Oh, I know what you're talking about with the beginner's bundle. It's a PDF. I'm thinking like bundle of holding bundle. Yes, I know. I know what that is. In fact, I did a news piece on it last week, earlier this week. I don't know. The days just seem to all be the same. It's like, what did I do that review? Oh, that was 6 months ago, huh? All right. So if you are looking to pick up the hardcover, and I will mention too that this is really nicely done. This is not like some gaming hardcovers that you pick up and you're like, oh man, this thing's going to fall apart. You know what I'm talking about. This is designed for a lot of game table use, and it lays flat pretty well, as you saw. I mean, not completely when you're at the beginning or the end of the book, but yeah, it does. It really does seem to me that it'll hold up for quite some time. As far as the new edition of Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls, a little birdie told me that there may be one in the future, but not the near future. And what they would maybe do is break it up into 2 books. So that's kind of cool here. Anyway, so Liz says Stefan Jones is their unrecognized hero. A lot got done only because he picked up and helped out. Yeah, so here I'm going to mention, and I'm sure folks in chat are going to be able to help me out with this. If you want to order the game through Flying Buffalo, it's kind of tough. And this has been the case, and no offense to anybody, but the Flying Buffalo website has been a headache to try to navigate and order things from since I began doing this in 2010. I don't know why. It's just, I mean, it's actually more modern now than it had been, but it is very, very difficult you can't just click on something and order it. So I had someone from the Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls Twitter account tell me the easy way to go about doing it is to just send money through PayPal and put a message for what that's for. It's like, seriously? I mean, I get the impression, and remember, I've never had an opportunity to interview Rick Loomis. I said hello to him a few times at Gen Cons, but he had no idea who I was. It was more like I'm walking along, I saw him, I'm like, hey, Mr. Loomis, how you doing? That was it, But he struck me as he was all more about the games than actually promoting the games, getting word out there, and making them easier to sell. So, I don't know. All right, so let's see what we got. Ken and Steve used a Japanese TNT manga to illustrate a really cute TNT intro book. Yes, I did a news piece about that years ago when that came out. Yes, TNT Japan Adventures, which I think that PDF is available through Drive-Thru RPG as well. Stefan Jones says the website was Rick's stream of consciousness. Yeah, sort of. After he passed away, his brother-in-law tried to fix it up some. Yes, like I said, it is a bit more modern now, but it's still not easy to order things. So I will float out an idea as far as that website. If somebody's looking to be able to move more product from the website, and if you want to process orders through PayPal, that's fine. You can easily, whoever's handling the website, they can easily create a little code for a button that will go to PayPal with a certain amount. So if this is $59.95, then that button they click and it comes up $59.95. Now, as far as shipping, I don't know how you're going to handle that. But there are ways to make life easier to sell product, because I understand that, because when I first took a look at the Flying Buffalo website, I thought this was out of stock. I did. I thought, oh, I guess they don't have the hardcover anymore. So I actually bought mine on eBay. Sorry. Then I found out after the fact, well, yeah, there's stock, but, like I said, it looks like a very cool game. I think it'll appeal to a lot of people out there who just don't want to get lost in the shuffle of all the extra crunchiness, especially like Pathfinder 2nd edition, somewhat 5th edition D&D. But yeah, I like Pathfinder 2nd edition. Don't get me wrong. I'm more keen on their adventures and how I tweak them to running it like I want to. So Liz says people thought for years that Flying Buffalo was out of business. There was a point in time I thought it was out of business too. And once again, absolutely no offense to anybody, but I remember when we would see Flying Buffalo at Gen Con, and sometimes it would look like Rick Loomis had emptied his garage in Scottsdale, Arizona, and just brought a bunch of stuff that he was getting rid of. But I do believe his storage, his warehouse was his garage. So I don't know. All right. So Liz says that Flying Buffalo was never out of business. They were just a bit dormant. All right. There you go. So the Madman just said that they picked up a couple of things from their drive-through wish list, added the beginner's bundle to the purchase, and of course, clicked on the drive-through link over on the Gaming Gang website. Yay. All right. Cool deal. Wow. Actually, I thought the show was running really long. I usually try to do about an hour. But I was thinking, oh man, we must be at like an hour and a half. I glanced at the time and I'm like, oh, it's an hour and 5 minutes? Wow. Okay. Not as long as I thought. All right. So Liz or anyone else affiliated with Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls have anything else they'd like to share with the folks hanging out in chat? So we will see if that's the case. In the meantime, once again, later on tonight, I will have my first look at Dungeons & Dragons, Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft from Wizards of the Coast. It's about 18 minutes long. It's for me, that's a quick page through. So that will be up Be sure to check that video out if you would like a chance to win my copy of the alternate art edition of the source book as well. And coming up next week, it's all role-playing games next week. So I know a lot of our constant viewers will probably be taking a break because, of course, we'll have game news about all different sorts of games. But we are focusing on role-playing games next week. So on Monday's show, I am going to pace through and take a first look at Reign of Terror for Call of Cthulhu. Remember I told you I love me my Call of Cthulhu from Chaosium Inc. And I promise I have not looked at this, so it will be a true first look page through. Not like tonight when I cheated. I wanted to read something on the train. So I read Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. Tuesday's show, we're probably going to go pretty light on the news because we are going to look at both volumes of Horror on the Orient Express. Also for Call of Cthulhu from my friends over at Chaosium Inc. On Wednesday, we're going to look at the 2 adventures in Does Love Forgive? Also for Call of Cthulhu from Chaosium Inc. And then on Thursday's show, we will take a look at the aforementioned Mutant Crawl Classics from Goodman Games. Speaking of Goodman Games, remember, you might be able to make it out still. See if I can make sure you don't catch enough glare on it. So remember, I've been talking up the first time fan kit, and I said, yeah. So they sent me the Zaki dice or Zachi dice, or I've heard like 50 different ways to pronounce Colonel Lou's name. You know what? I'll start doing that. Colonel Lou, his dice from Game Science. Then I don't have to try to pronounce his last name. But I had a green die. All the rest are blue. This one's green. Fine folks at Goodman Games sent me the blue die. Very, very cool. Wanted to give them a shout out for taking care of that. Still didn't get my Conan book, though. I didn't really care about the Conan book, but I did want all the dice to match. So that helps. Okay, so Stefan says, TNT has been translated in many languages. The effort to make DTNT came from seeing how nicely the French edition came out. Those European role-playing game editions were always really, really nice. We would get, I every once in a while I get a chance to take a peek at the European Call of Cthulhu books. And I was like, oh my gosh, they had like full color art plates inside, and here, you know, and I love Chaosium, don't get me wrong, but they had some issues for a while. Thankfully, they're beyond that. But you'd look at, you know, like the core book for Call of Cthulhu, like say 4th edition. It was all black and white. The artwork was fine. Some of it was pretty good. Some of it was, And then you see these European editions, you'd be like, oh my gosh, that's gorgeous. It's like, we take a look at stuff like from Free League Publishing, always really good. Cubicle 7 Entertainment, always pretty sweet. Okay, Andrew Jones says, Liz is truly iconic, a founding mother of role-playing games. Got to give credit where credit's due. So Liz Danforth says that things are in flux right now with Rick Loomis's estate being wrapped up. So completely understand that. Stefan says, my solitary adventure, Dark Temple, was translated into French. Translator was great. Found enough to get a new PDF edition rolling. And Primo, I'm sorry, did I say hello to Primo in chat? I apologize. I did not see Andrew pop in either, simply because I was, focused on showing off the book. Yeah, I usually chat. My role in chat kind of evaporates when I start doing like unboxings and page throughs. So Andrew Jones says Tunnels and Trolls and RuneQuest are his personal favorite old school role-playing games. Yeah, RuneQuest, I mean, that's basically where the D100 pretty much came from. So Primo says, that's fine, Jeff. Hey, I always try to say hello to everybody when they pop into chat. I mean, yeah, it's not like we get tons of people watching, so it's not that big a deal. And I always appreciate people hanging out. All right. That is it for this time out. Of course, no show on Friday. I don't do Friday shows. So, do want to mention, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. If you do, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when I stream the Gaming Gang Dispatch Monday through Thursday nights right here on YouTube. I'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my various different reviews and first looks and interviews. And of course, later tonight, Dungeons and Dragons, Van Richten's Guide to, I keep wanting to say Van Richthofen, and it keeps throwing me off. It's like, yes, the Red Baron versus Strahd. So yes, it is Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft for Dungeons and Dragons. Thankfully, I don't mess up the title of it in that video. Anyway, those of you who watch live, thank you very much. Always appreciate it. I know there are a lot of people out there who don't have an opportunity to check out the stream live. Thank you so much for also taking time to hang out with this goofball, with this knucklehead, listen to me pontificate. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. All right. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy your upcoming weekend. I will be back on Monday. And have a great Thursday night or Friday morning or whatever day it happens to be for you when you watch this. And as I wrap up all of my videos during this never-ending pandemic, I certainly hope each and every one of you is being smart and staying safe. Oh, hey, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, if you haven't subscribed to the Gaming Gang channel yet, click right here. If you'd like to see the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch, click right up there. And if you want to trust YouTube's algorithm to give you something to watch, click right there. Once again, thanks so much for watching. And everybody, please wear a mask.